This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
Welcome to Covered in Pet Hair, a boozy web show for pet lovers on Pet Life Radio. I'm your host, Isabel Alvarez-Arata, and today I have the pleasure of having a drink and a chat with BFF, Modern Cat Ladies. I'll tell you all about them and introduce you as soon as we come back from these messages from our sponsors.
Pets are part of the family. Make sure you can always afford the quality health care they need with Easy Pet Check, a nationwide pet insurance alternative. With Easy Pet Check, you'll save up to 75% on all your pet's health care at any licensed veterinarian in the U.S. Easy Pet Check accepts all dogs and cats regardless of pre-existing conditions. Visit EasyPetCheck.com. That's the letters EasyPetCheck.com. Taking care of your pet can be easy with Easy Pet Check.
Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back to Covered in Pet Hair. I'm your host, Isabel Alvarez-Arata, and today I have the pleasure of having a drink with two guests from two different locations, which is a first for me because usually everybody's in the same house. So we're going to hope that this goes well because this is a first. But the first guest is a pet parent, a cat person, a co-host, a cocktail connoisseur. She's an edible enthusiast. Originally from Michigan, current Ohioan, wife to Brian, mom to Cameron and Nikki, cat ma to 11 cats, dog ma to one dog who obviously has a lot of patience, president of our second guest's fan club, Linda Hall. Welcome, Linda.
Yeah, I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so happy to have you.
Two daughters, Cassie and Lizzie. They just don't live with us because they've grown up and spread their wings and are doing their own things. But I didn't want to leave Cassie and Lizzie out. I'd get in trouble.
Cassie and Lizzie, you are here in spirit. Are they old enough to drink?
Yes.
Okay, so then they can play along the drinking game when they watch this back. They're going to be drinking along with us.
Yes.
All right, so I want to introduce our second guest, who, I mean, you know quite well, and we're going to get into that.
I do. Okay.
She is a pet parent, a cat trainer, a pet sitter, a pet photographer, an author, 100% cat person, coffee lover, tea drinker, originally from Buffalo, New York, currently living in Lancaster, South Carolina, which I just learned is a suburb of Charlotte, North Carolina. Cat ma to wait for it. Smokey, Boo Boo, Peanut Butter, Dash, Lovey, Cupcake, Brownie, Oliver, Hope, Bella, Gigi, Smoochie, Sunny, Simon, Picasso, Rosie, Simba, Sweetie Pie, Missy, and Scooter, the one and only Rita Reimers, the multi-cat behavior expert. Welcome, Rita.
Oh, thank you so much. That was a mouthful. I'll tell you, when I saw that question, I'm like, ooh, can I name them all? I got to 18. I'm like, wait a minute, who am I missing?
I was going to ask you if you had to do a roll call.
I did. I went through my pictures to see who I was missing. Linda used to name them to help her go to sleep at night.
That used to be a game I played at night, trying to remember all Rita's cats' names.
Of course,
kind
the
of like
names have changed. The names have changed since then.
Yeah.
You have plenty of cats yourself. Now you can count all of them. So how many cats do we have right now between the two of you?
31.
31. Yeah.
And a dog.
31 cats.
And my parents' 6 dogs.
Oh, yeah. Our parents have 6 dogs. There's the dog people.
You know, one day coming to live with me. I grew up with a dog. So someday I may have whatever, you know, my parents aren't, my dad's in his 80s, my mom's in her 70s. Hopefully they'll live to be 100. But one day I might be the crazy cat and dog lady.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Well, before we go any further, anybody participating in our drinking game tonight, anytime you hear this word,
the secret word is edible.
Make sure you take a drink of whatever you're enjoying today, hopefully cat themed, and make sure you're over 21 to drink, or wherever it is that you're watching from, make sure you're of legal drinking age. And never drink and drive. You should always drink responsibly, even watching this show and talking about cats. And if you're enjoying edibles, also edible responsibly.
I'm jealous.
Yeah.
I want an edible, but
I want to know what the word is. I was trying to think about this last night and I thought, well, she
What is
can't
the
say
word?
cat. Everybody's going to be so drunk they won't be coherent by the end of the thing if it's cat.
You won't know the word until I post the
Dying to
video
know.
or
I'm
until
dying.
Mark edits it into our Pet Life
Into
radio
the
show.
video.
so we
Yeah.
have to drink all the time because we don't know what the word is.
Yeah, so
we just,
basically
we
every,
just,
Good
every
point.
word. Every word you
Good
drink.
point. Every
Uh-oh.
word. Okay.
I'm gonna
Okay.
have to go to the bathroom too, 'cause, you know.
So you guys are best friends. And I want to get into all about that because you guys are experts in your field, all that good stuff. But you can talk about your expertise on your show. We're going to dig into it a little bit. But I want to
Okay.
get into your relationship as BFFs. So our first game today, which is how I start this show all the time, try to introduce it with a game to like loosen everybody up. Today's game is 1, 2, 3 BFF. And it's inspired by a 17 magazine BFF quiz.
Ooh,
Love that magazine.
fun. I used
know.
to read that religiously.
Oh, me too. And saved
Same
all my
here.
copies. Yeah.
absolutely.
Not anymore, but yeah, for years.
So I lived in Ecuador for a year when I was 11, and my dad was still in Miami, and he would ship us copies of 17 magazine.
How fun.
So
Ecuador.
nice.
What was that like?
Why
Wow.
were you in Ecuador?
I was born in Ecuador, actually. And when one of our visa statuses changed, we went back and it changed while we were visiting family there. So we couldn't come back until that visa process like moved forward. So we were
Oh my
kind of
God.
So
stuck.
you were stuck in
that,
Ecuador.
that happens when you're in the visa process for the
Yeah.
United States. Like they tell you don't travel because you
Yeah.
could get
We
stuck.
could get
And
stuck.
the attorney was like, it might happen while you're gone, but the chances are really low.
But
Of course, if we had stayed, it wouldn't have progressed as quickly, but we
course.
left. And so my dad
course.
was still here, but my mom, my sister, and I were in Ecuador. And it was wonderful. I have great memories of it because it's just,
Amazing.
we had lots of cousins over there. So
Yes.
it was like a
great.
nice time to be
Yeah.
around so many
Yes. Nice.
people. All right. So back to the
right.
game. So
Okay.
this is basically, we're going to try to make it so that you respond at the same time. So you're going to answer which letter you choose after I say 1, 2, 3 BFF.
Okay.
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 So the first one, a good friend is someone who A, answers my every call and text, B, is always there when I need them. 1, 2, 3 BFF.
B.
B.
Beautiful. Fantastic. All right. Number 2. You know that your friend's crush isn't interested in them. How do you handle the situation? A, you say nothing. You don't want to risk them getting mad at you. B, you tell them they may be upset, but it's better that they know. 1, 2, 3 BFF.
B.
B.
Woohoo! Very
We matched
nice.
again.
Yes, you did. 3, you borrowed a cool vintage dress from your friend and oops, spilled a few drops of spaghetti sauce on it. The day after, you A, return it to them and apologize profusely. B, let them know, apologize, and offer to pay for the dry cleaning. 1, 2, 3 BFF.
B.
B.
Beautiful. All right. Number 4, at the mall, the people you're hanging out with start to talk trash about your bud. When they turn to you for input, you A, change the subject, B, defend your friend. 1, 2, 3 BFF.
B.
B.
Wow, you guys are truly best
Linda, you're
friends.
waiting a little too long. You're cheating.
Oh no, I was trying to time it with you and watch your lips so we do it together.
All right, I have a bonus question.
Okay.
This is a yes or no answer, okay?
Okay.
Number 5. Do besties help each other hide the body? 1, 2, 3 BFF.
Yeah.
Yes.
You guys are true BFFs.
Yay.
There's no other way around it. If 17 magazine says you guys are BFFs, that's it. It's set in stone. So how did you guys meet?
We both worked for Richard Simmons. So we met on a Richard Simmons Cruise to Lose. At that time, actually, when I first met Linda, I wasn't yet working for Richard, but she was. I was one of the more normal Richard Simmons fans. So I got to be friends with some of the staff because they knew I wasn't like trying to marry Richard or have his baby or what have you.
Oh my
Anyway,
goodness.
fast forward, Linda and I, we kept in touch on Facebook. We weren't really best friends at all. We just like kind of cursory knew each other. And then Linda started collecting.
I started collecting cats. Yep.
Linda started collecting cats. And then she needed advice. And of course, she didn't talk about how many she had on Facebook because, people judge. She knew I was running Just for Cats pet sitting and I was a cat behavior. So she would start asking me questions. We started bonding through that. But then really how we really became best friends is Richard decided to retire. And Linda had been running his website, richardsimmons.com, for like 17 years.
17 and a half.
She was getting laid off.
I love Richard Simmons. I'm a huge fan, and wherever he may be,
awesome.
I wish him the very best because I have not laughed so hard with my sister than when we did his workouts. Like we were teenagers in the 90s doing his workouts, and it was the best time. So
Linda,
I love him.
Teenagers in the 90s.
Yeah, teenagers in the 90s. That's awesome. Yeah. Graduated high school in 85. So yeah. Anyway, yeah. I lost weight with this program. I had tried all these programs and, nothing works. And I ran into his deal meal. It was like $9.99. But I wasn't going to get it because it's probably just I might as well just stick a 10 in the closet on the shelf and just walk away from it. Because, but it really did work. I was doing great. And I was reading his books and I started exercising with him and everything. So we went to meet him. I wrote him a letter and I got to be the Cinderella in his newsletter. So Elijah Jones called me, who I knew worked for him.
First infomercial girl. She was his first infomercial girl.
It wasn't the first, but I was.
You're the most notorious.
It was a big infomercial, but yeah.
So wait, do I have access to this yet? Is there anywhere that I could watch?
I'm sure there is.
Well, wait a second.
Find him.
Have you seen the movie What Women Want with Mel Gibson?
Mel Gibson?
Yes.
Linda made Mel Gibson cry in that movie.
When he's flipping through the channels and at first he's the macho guy. Okay, so let me back up. So
and I want to get back to how we actually became friends.
I met Richard in person. I lost like 150 pounds and he was so sweet and he wanted me to be on QVC with him. So duh, of course. So I got to be on QVC and had so much fun. He gave me a really cool gift. I mean, it was just amazing. And then I got a call some months later that they wanted me to be in this infomercial they were shooting in New Orleans. So much fun. It was hot. And we always went on the off season because, cheap. And so it was really hot in New Orleans, but yes. And so sweetly, he called me up and he shows, this huge picture of, 300 plus pound Linda. And then he calls me up. And so I don't know, he asked me something and I just started from my gut. I remember there was a lady in the front of the audience who was so overweight. She was in a motorized wheelchair and she was so beautiful. And I was just like, I said something along the lines of, I know how hard it is, but if you could feel for 10 minutes what it's like to be a healthy weight, you would go for this. You would go. And he stepped off the stage and let me have, and people later, I worked on an infomercial for him and we had gotten a testimonial story and it was my job to reduce to my favorites. And then he would pick, and then I had to stay in touch with him and I got to go on the trip and everything. So I called this one lady, Kelly Cucurullo, now O'Leary. Kelly made my day. I called and I said, hi, my name is, it was Woodson at the time, Linda Woodson. Linda Woodson, you're the reason I bought it, Linda Woodson. And I'm like, it was quite a moment.
She didn't realize how impactful she'd been to people and that everybody knew who Linda Woodson was.
It was just honest from my heart.
I knew who Linda Woodson was and I hadn't met you yet.
Yeah. So then fast forward some time. And I live in Defiance, Ohio. It's a small town. It's just, I'm not in LA. Okay. And I get a phone call and the lady says, I still remember her name and everything. She says, hi, my name is Beth Unger Morrison and I work for Paramount. And I'm like, lady, you got the wrong number. And then she says, I got your number from Michael Catalano. That's Richard's agent and manager. Okay. So I'm still like, I can't imagine someone should have videoed me. I'm sure my face was like the entire time. But so she starts telling me that director, producer, somebody was up late one night and saw my infomercial and it made her cry. And so she said, we're doing this movie with Mel Gibson. And the idea is he's this macho butt munch that, and there's going to be this part where he's flipping through the channels and, he does not want to watch Martha Stewart's baking. He wants to click on the manly stuff, the sports. And then after his transformation, he's going to flip through the channels and flip through those and land on your story and cry. I made Mel Gibson cry. So they took the clip.
So crazy. I think I remember that clip. I think that's like a classic movie. I don't remember what he was watching, but I remember when he starts crying. So I need to watch that movie again.
Yeah, you do.
It was the best moment of my life. Well, and I had this dear friend. Well, I still have this dear friend, Kristen, who we're very close in age, like a month apart. And her body, she's just got a banging body. And I borrowed her dress for that infomercial. And the fact that I was wearing Kristen's dress. Yes. The fact that I was wearing Kristen's dress was like, oh, I can't believe it. I didn't even try them on at her house because I was sure they wouldn't fit. And then I got home and they fit. I was like,
oh my God.
That's the best. That's the best feeling.
Yeah.
It was
really
wonderful. So from that, she started working for Richard. And then when he decided to retire, I said to my friend Iris, do you think Linda would want to work on? Because I was trying to develop a Clubhouse website, Reimers.com, which we now have. I called Linda and I said, I heard you're getting laid off. Would you even consider working for Reimers.com? She's like, when do I start?
At this point, how long had you known each other? Kind of not really that close.
Oh, no, about 12 years, maybe.
I'd say it'd probably been 12, 15 years since we met on the cruise. And I knew you, we're on a cruise together and all of the things in Richard's cruises, we travel in packs, we eat together, we do morning workouts and blah, blah, blah. So I knew her. Well, and she had this old man on the cruise that was following her around.
I remember that.
And this is my first true memory of Rita. This guy tried to follow her into a class and Richard's like, you can't be here. You're not one of us. And he had the hots for Rita. Oh, holy cow. And I
had lost all the weight then. Of course, it's back now.
Yeah.
But I looked okay.
So, that was my first memory of you. But so then, I saw her when I had to go to LA for something with Richard or whatever. And, we crossed paths and saw each other. Yeah. And you learned working for Richard, everybody wants to be your best friend. And some of them just want to get in with him. They have
ulterior
marry
motives.
him. Right. So I tended to hold everybody at arm's length until I saw proof that they were crazy.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I think once I started working on the radio show too, that showed everybody that, Richard doesn't have the nut people working for him.
Yeah, that's true.
So then they knew I was normal. But we really bonded over the cats. And
we did. Yeah.
How many years at this point have you guys known each other?
I don't know, about 17,
Since I
20.
started working for her, it's been 4
since
years,
the day you met.
almost 4 years and 2 months. So yeah,
Since the day you met.
Probably close to 20.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Probably
20 years of friendship here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
But the last 4 is being BFFs. We are so in sync. She could be having an edible. And I'm like, I text her. I'm like, Linda, are you having an edible? Because I have this really bad floaty sensation. She's like, how do you know that?
That is so crazy.
She texted me one day on the way back from the dispensary and it had just hit me. And I was like, oh, thank you. And I get this text. Are you high? Oops. Yes, I am.
Oh my God. I'm not allowed to go anywhere near that. My husband's in the military. So I need to tell my best friend that she needs to telepathically send me her feelings.
Send me
because
your
I don't get those.
Baby.
So you guys have been friends for 20 years. Yeah. And I want to talk about how you guys are now co-hosts of your show. But I have to go to break. And we'll come back and talk more about you and your relationship and your show as soon as we come back from these messages from our sponsors.
Take a bite out of your competition. Advertise your business with an ad in Pet Life Radio podcasts and radio shows. There's no other pet-related media that is as large and reaches more pet parents and pet lovers than Pet Life Radio. With over 7 million monthly listeners, Pet Life Radio podcasts are available on all major podcast platforms. And our live radio stream goes out to over 250 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, radio.com, TuneIn, Stitcher, and other streaming apps. For more information on how you can advertise on the #1 pet podcast and radio network, visit PetLifeRadio.com/advertise today.
Let's talk pets.
Let's talk pets
On Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back to Covered in Pet Hair. I'm your host, Isabel Alvarez-Arata, and today I'm having a blast with 2 very, very modern cat ladies who are best friends. And I say modern because, we just had a whole conversation about cannabis. And so now we're going to talk about cats. But before we do that, I want to know what you guys are drinking tonight.
Yeah.
Linda,
okay,
you go first.
See, I'm not a bartender. Seriously, I'd be fired in 5 seconds. I have no knowledge. So, and if I'm going to get a drink, it's usually like something like fruity frozen, the dessert drinks that are going to add 80 pounds to my butt. So I have no imagination when it comes to these things. So I start looking up things that are like a cat drink. And I just, I don't have that stuff. And so we went with a margarita, but we put it in a cat lady glass, thus making it a meow-garita.
Perfection.
I don't have bartending skills, but I'm creative.
There you go.
I have a tabby tea, which is, it's actually my favorite drink as an Arnold Palmer. So it's half iced tea, half lemonade. It may or may not have copious amounts of vodka in it. And it's served in a tabby mug. Linda named it because I was like, what am I going to call this thing? Tabby tea.
I didn't want to be left out. So like I already had my drink planned, but luckily it kind of works with a cat theme. So this is a Satsuma spritzer.
I love it.
It's Satsuma liqueur. I lived in Louisiana and they have a Satsuma rum. And so that's where the orange comes from. Okay. And then it has Sprite. Like it's just a spritzer with a little bit of, and it is Satsuma season here in El Paso. We get them from Louisiana, I think. Yeah. And they just arrived at Whole Foods. So I was like, I have to do something seasonal. I love Satsumas. Living in Louisiana, it was like a treat every year. And everybody around us had Satsuma trees. So like people would just give us Satsumas. So cheers to you guys. I'm so excited to have you on the show. Cheers.
Get your tabby tea, girl. All right.
And I'm sure I am covered in pet hair too.
Oh, aren't we all? Yeah. I mean, you don't even want to know. Like my children are always covered in pet hair. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Well, that beautiful dress does not look covered in pet hair. You must have really stayed away from your pets.
Yes, I do. I don't even hang out with the kids after I get dressed for the show because it's too dangerous.
I bet.
Well, isn't one of your kids a baby too? Is there still spit up happening? She's one. Okay.
She's one. Okay. Luckily, she was never much for spit up, but I mean, the other day, but she's drooling because she's teething. So the other day I made the mistake of wearing a shirt and I went to get my drink downstairs and she wanted to be held by mama. And before I knew it, there was drool on me. And I'm like, well, luckily it's right where my microphone goes.
Oh, that's part of being mom.
For sure. So I don't have any cats right now. I love cats.
I forgive you.
I know. I want you guys to know that one of my biggest pet peeves and like few things send me through the roof, like hearing somebody say, I hate cats.
I know.
It makes me livid. It makes me crazy because it just makes me think like you just obviously don't know cats. You've never had a cat. You've never been around a cat because there's no way you could know cats and hate them.
Precisely.
But I do recognize that there are a lot of people out there, and maybe there's some of it in me as well that believe that cats cannot be trained. So
that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
I figured as much. I figured you would tell me that. So our second game today is called Are Cats Trainable?
Yay! And they're not only trainable, but they're teachable. And there's a difference.
Yes.
Actually, why don't you go ahead and tell me the difference real quick, and then we'll jump into the game.
I'll give my take, and I'm sure Linda will jump in. What you want to do is teach cats what is acceptable and not acceptable behavior, or perhaps if they're scratching your sofa, you want to teach them that there are more appropriate places to do that. Now, if you're training a cat, you're teaching them more or less trick training, and there's people who do that, and it's awesome, like the cats you see on the commercials or in TV shows, but it's a different skill set.
Honestly, cats teach us what they need more. There's a huge joke between Rita and I that I am not putting a litter box in my bedroom.
Yes,
and then the cat consistently pees in this one spot in your bedroom until you put the litter box there. So in a way, they're training us, but
yeah, that's true.
But you can't, I've watched, there are people that clicker train, or there's this really cool, you have to look up Billy Speaks. We're trying to get her on our podcast. Right. Billy Speaks. She's on YouTube, Instagram, and I think TikTok. Don't hold me to that. She has gotten some of those buttons and taught her cat one at a time to press the button if it wants pets or if it wants, and I mean, that's amazing because the communication.
You've probably seen that with dogs, but we've never seen it with a cat before.
Yes, I've seen it with I've seen it with a couple of dogs. It's not something super common either. And for cats, like again, there's a little part of me that says like cats are just not as trainable as dogs when we compare the two. Right. So I have these are common behaviors in cats that I want you to tell me if it's possible. Are cats trainable in these ways? So
are we answering together again or what?
Do you want to take turns?
Yeah, we can take turns.
Yeah, sure.
Let's take turns.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I think And then you can interject if you disagree with the other person. Let's do
that works.
Because I want to hear both perspectives if there are different ones. Okay. So can a cat be trained to follow commands or cues?
Yes, they can. For example, well, let's just do clicker training. A friend of mine, Marilyn Krieger, one of my colleagues, she wrote a whole book about clicker training. She also writes for Catster like I do. And it's more or less teaching a cat that when he does a certain behavior, you associate a clicker with it, give him a treat. Cats are very food motivated, and usually the reward is treat or some kind of high praise. Every time they do a certain act, you click a clicker, give them a treat. And then pretty soon all you have to do is click the clicker and they do what you want them to do. Or a word, my cats all know, you want something to eat? I've trained them. They know, they start lining up in the kitchen. They know it's time for food. And if I'm in the kitchen until I say that, they don't associate me being in the kitchen with food unless they want to beg for what I'm eating. Cats are motivated by getting a reward. So they're very reward focused. As long as they are getting some kind of payoff, you can teach them to do just about anything. Right, Linda?
All right.
Yeah, I think that where the misconception comes in is like dogs are just such pleasers. I want to please. Oh, you called me? What do you want? I love you. Cats, there's got to be something in it for them.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. They're teachable. Yes. They completely understand what you're saying. They may or may not come depending on how good the deal is.
And you know what? Big enough.
And there are dogs that are not that responsive either. Like that dog that you describe is like a golden retriever, right? Like super trainable, super like happy-go-lucky, willing to please. And I always used to call my husband a golden retriever because he was, when we first started dating, I would joke with my mom that I was like, I say jump and he says how high, right? Because like he was so like eager to please, right? Because that's who he is. He's just a really positive. But then as we got married and things started getting, more like real.
Routine. Yeah.
I was like, now he's a German Shepherd. Now I have to really negotiate here a little bit. And there has to be like a higher value reward. And because different dogs are different.
That's true.
That sense,
yes. That's true.
And
maybe there's a little like a cat in that the reward has to be big enough. That's how cats are.
And some dogs are like that too. I mean, I have a dog that's like a human being that is basically like he will come when there is food. And if there is no food, he will wait and look at you. And if you're like, it's that one time that you don't have the treat that they're still supposed to respond. He's like, yeah, I'm not responding because I see that there's no treat.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Yep.
Can a cat be trained to use the toilet?
Oh, I've seen people do it, and I suppose they can, but I don't like that whole idea.
Right?
Don't do it.
Okay, they can't flush, so it's going to be sitting there. I've seen them do it. I've seen people say that they've done it. It works. I've seen people video their cat on the toilet. I'm not sure.
It's not natural.
But that's fine. But here's my thing. There's 4 of us living in this house and 2 bathrooms. It's hard enough to get into the bathroom when you need it without 11 cats lining up to sit on my toilet. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think you'd have to have 1 cat. Like that would be like, even like 2 cats seems like a lot of training involved for like minor reward. And I hear that, I'm sure you guys know this. I'm not going to tell you this, but I'll say it to our audience. Like it's actually not biologically normal for them to do that. And it actually does mess with them a little bit.
It does, because they need to dig and scratch and cover, because out in nature, if they're living in most cats out of nature, it's a misnomer to say that they live alone. They don't. They hunt alone, but they live in a commune, a colony, a clouder of some kind, the ferals out there, and they do their duty, their business out away from where they live. To get that stuff away from them, especially if a cat is sick, he'll go off and do it someplace away where he can bury it. Also away from them. So predators, if they find it, it's not right near them. But that's why they cover too.
Yes.
And in some instances, though, they will use it to mark territory, to warn other cats, this area belongs to us, don't cross. So it's totally against their biological needs and how they think, if you want to say cats think they do.
Yeah.
All right. Can a cat be trained to stay off the counter?
No. Good luck with that one. Yes, you can, but it's going to be a big fight. And if you've got more than 1 or 2 cats, give it up.
Okay. That's very good answer.
I told Rita at one point, so cocky, I probably had 4 cats. And I said, my cats do not get on my counters. My cats do not get on my dining room table. I've taught them not to. So one day we left the house and I'd forgotten something. So we turned right away and come back. And I find Warren sound asleep on the dining room table. And the look on his face when he saw me, because he was really out, he knew I was going to be home for a while. And the look of, oh man, when he saw me and then he jumps off. And so I realized I've trained him not to do it in my presence.
Right.
So, I mean, if you really need them off there are mats, there's tape, there's stuff you can do to make it an undesirable thing. But it's, I don't know if it's worth it or not.
Well,
just
cats,
wash the counters before you cook.
Safety and perception from being on high. They like to look out over their territory. So that's a high place. Not all my cats will go on the counter, but I have some that do. And because of that, can I say this? My mom doesn't like to eat at my house. I mean, I wash everything down before I cook and everything, but yeah, I hope you're not listening, Mom. We had them over.
Love you, Mary.
That's okay.
Last July when Linda and her son were down here, Cameron, we had them over for a cookout and my mom didn't eat a thing. What was it about the table? She's like, we're going to eat on this
something
table.
like, how are we going to, where are we going to eat or how are we going to eat on that? And then, or your dad said that. And then your mom said, she says she's putting a tablecloth on it. And I was like, yeah, I get it. They're dog people. They don't have cats. But yeah, every time my cats do know they better not try to jump up while I'm cooking. Because,
mine too.
Stuff. And so, yeah, I have a cleaner with bleach that I use before I cook. And yeah, they have to stay off until it's,
It's a little scary though, because I have electric and, that stays hotter even after the burner's off. So I really, I'm careful to make sure it's cool. And then I have covers that go over in case they get up there before it's cool enough. Not like gas. So when you shut off the gas, it's off,
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. So can a cat be trained to speak on command? You know how like in dogs, you'll say speak and they bark? Can that work for cats?
No. Because cats meow. They only use meow when they're kittens to communicate with their moms. And then when as long as they're socialized, when they communicate with their humans, they will meow. But that's not a normal thing for them to do.
There you go.
They don't meow to each other. So no, teaching them to speak on command, that's not going to work, in my opinion. Now somebody's going to write you and say, I taught my cat to say mama. Not really.
Well,
it just sounds like he's saying that.
Well, no, wait. Pinky. It depends on your cat. Now, Rita had this cat. May she rest in peace. Pinky,
Sadie.
I miss you terribly, darling.
It did sound like she said mama.
I was thinking about Pinky, but yes, Sadie too.
Pinky.
But Rita would say, Pinky, do you love me? And Pinky would go, meow. It was the cutest thing on the planet.
I didn't teach her that.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's just, she's a communicative cat and she answers it. My daughter, Nikki, has a cat like that, Tiger.
But you can't say, here's a treat. Speak.
Yeah.
That doesn't work.
Not in the same way as a dog, but people will then comment and say, my cat talks like Pinky and Nikki's cat Tiger. And Nikki has the funniest conversation.
Oh, I love Tiger.
And he'll arf at her back, he'll and she'll say, don't sass me. And he'll be like, and they have these conversations going. So, but that's the cat, that's out of all the cats we have, that's two. So
right. Well,
I love something we did. We didn't sit down and teach them.
Yeah.
I love
that was their desire.
I love you saying that somebody's going to write and say that I taught my cat to say mama. Like, please, if you taught your cat to say mama, please get in touch. I would love that kind of hate
and
mail.
A little video clip.
Yes, and a video clip, please.
Yes.
All right. So last one. Can a cat be trained to be friendly with a resident bird or small mammal that might be another pet in the house?
Yeah, they can. And I've seen it happen, but do you really want to risk the life of your bird? I've seen people, have their parakeet next to their cat and all that, but they're fighting that prey drive. It's a natural instinct in cats to hunt and prey and eat their, I wouldn't risk it. Especially not unsupervised. Now, cats and rabbits get along really well.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, cats don't hunt down bunnies or I think out of nature they might hunt down the little baby ones, but no. I've had a couple of clients that had cats and bunnies together, and if you do a little research on it, which I did, they actually can be great friends. But I wouldn't trust it with a rat, a mouse, a bird, something they would normally, hunt and eat. No.
Yeah.
Not even
worth
worth trying.
Or something. Yeah, a small dog or something. Like the different cats react to my dog differently. I'm pretty sure Sadie thinks she's a cat because she's living with all cats. And what does she know?
Tell them about that. Tell them about that cat and the blind dog.
We took in a cat. Family member of mine was getting married and her new husband's son was deathly allergic to cats. I mean, like peanut allergy allergics, like anaphylactic shock allergic. So they've got their cat and they really need to rehome this cat. And I ended up taking it in. And then my daughter took him, thankfully, because Marley just did not like being around other cats. But she lived all her life with just this dog. And the dog went blind. And Marley used to lead the dog. The dog would follow her, by scent. So she used to lead the dog into corners so that his face was facing the corner. And then she would leave him there. He was like,
That's so mean. That is cat behavior. That is typical cat behavior.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, some of my cats ignore my dog. There's one, Galway will play with the dog, and I watch them, and Sadie thinks she's so tough, and she's just her. And I keep saying she could slice you open in 2 seconds.
So
no
how
idea.
big? What breed is Sadie?
Sadie's a Chihuahua. So yeah. She's a small, some of my cats are bigger than my dog.
Yeah.
So yeah, but she's learned who to mess with and who not to mess with. And they tolerate her as long as she doesn't mess with them. And if she does, she's going to get smacked upside the head. So,
and Chihuahuas sometimes test their limits. So it's kind of good that she has somebody putting her in her place.
Well, this dog is scared of its own shadow.
She's a nervous wreck. She's very special. She's just very special.
I think she came from an abuse neglect situation.
Oh no.
That's one of the reasons I adopted her. Yeah. The poster had like, I don't know, 1 million small children. Okay, probably 4 boys, all under like the age of 5. You know, that dog was getting
that's my Rosie.
Stepped on,
I saved my Rosie from that situation.
Yeah, it just wasn't a good fit. I was like, we got to get this dog out of here.
We talk about this a lot on this show because I have a 3-year-old who torments me every day. And I mean, and I'm his mother, right? So like any animal would be like, what is the problem here? So
yes, exactly.
Energy levels are just so different. So I know that you all do a show on Pet Life Radio called 19 Cats and Counting. And I know that Rita is technically, it's called 19 Cats and Counting because she had 19 cats.
Yes.
It's 31 Cats and Counting right now because Linda, you're the co-host.
Yes. I know. We should change the name really because I have 20 now.
So that's why it's and counting.
And exactly. That's why the and counting covers the changes. So Rita, when you were offered this opportunity, did you immediately say like, I'm doing this with Linda, or how did that happen?
Actually, Linda and I, we'd been talking about this for years. You know, every time we would be on the phone, and we still do this, we'll be on the phone, you know, talking smack about our cats, about the reality of having that many cats in our household. We're like, this should be a radio show. This should be a show. This should be, actually, we want to do a real, you know, film. Sebastian would tell us, you need to put on Go cameras and just tape yourselves because, especially when we were running Just for Cats Pet Sitting, because nobody would believe the stuff that happened. So actually, Linda and I started doing this podcast ourselves. It was not hosted on Pet Life Radio for the first 2 episodes, but then we did another show on Pet Life Radio, Catitude, and in being on the show and talking to Mark. Then we did Arden Moore's show.
Arden's, yeah.
And I said to Mark Winter, what would it take for Linda and I to have a show on Pet Life Radio? And I told him we'd already started the show. He said, I'll put you on.
Yeah.
He gave us the opportunity. He pulled the first 2 shows off where they had been hosted and pulled them over. And we've been on Pet Life Radio ever since. We were, of course, co-hosts all along, but during the pandemic, when Linda was really sick and when Sebastian passed away, I hosted the show myself. And I was so happy when she could come back because it's just, you know, you've seen Linda talk. I'm the serious one, and she's like got the creativity and the sense of humor. So with her on the show, it really adds a different vibe and sparkle.
I love it. I absolutely love the dynamic. So I'm a TV person, which is why I have a show that's kind of like late night inspired. But did you ever watch Just Fab, the British show?
I've seen that.
I don't think I've seen that.
No, sorry. Ab Fab. Absolutely fabulous.
I knew which one you meant. Yeah.
I don't think I've seen that.
It's really
I know what it is. I know what it is.
They're best friends. One's blonde, one's brunette.
Yes.
They drink a lot. They have one of them has a daughter.
Yes.
You guys are totally ab fab. So you guys have a great dynamic.
I've never had a roommate, but when Linda comes to stay, you know how a lot of time you have company come and you're like, you can't wait for them to leave. I don't want her to leave. I could live with her, no problem.
Same difference. Yep. Same thing here. Yep. I could stay forever.
You're more like sisters than like friends almost.
Yeah. We've often said
that. It is a very weird, that we found each other and just clicked like we did. Yeah. We do like mostly the same things. And, you know.
This may not be the first lifetime that you all know each other.
There you go.
It's possible. I believe in that.
That's it. Maybe that's it.
Yeah.
Maybe that's
and we've got a lot of plans together for the future. I still want us to do a TV show. We started another YouTube series called Let's Talk Cats, where we let our hair down. It's a lot less professional than 19 Cats and Counting. You know, we actually might swear a little bit. Yeah. Talk about what it's really like to live with an a-hole cat. We were going to start a series where we wanted to go to shelters and rescues in different parts of the country and, raise awareness about the need for adoption, especially when it comes to cats. I mean, dogs too, but cats are kind of the forgotten ones of rescue.
Mm-hmm.
And they have way less chance of getting out of, especially a shelter, than dogs do. So we wanted to kind of highlight, especially the private rescues where people are spending their own money. And there's so many out there that are not even nonprofit, that, they're spending their own money and people send them food and things out of their graciousness of their own heart. But of course, COVID came along and we couldn't go ahead with that. But I'm hoping someday I'd love to see a series on it. I would love to see it on Animal Planet, something like that. Yeah. Everything on Animal Planet except for Jackson Galaxy, My Cat from Hell, seems to be dog focused. I love dogs. I grew up with a dog. Nothing against dogs. I love my parents' dogs, but cats are really neglected and forgotten.
They're underserved for sure, especially in the behavior and training, which is really detrimental for their opportunities being rescued, because people are convinced that they're not going to do what I want.
Right.
They're not going to be good pets. They're not like a dog that's eager to please. They don't want to snuggle. That's not true at all. If you've not had a cat, you don't know what to expect. But you also, if you are going from a dog to a cat, you also do need somebody to help you make that transition, because it is a totally different species.
We've had some pet sitting clients who said, this is my first cat. I really don't know. Or we've had guys, we had so many men as clients for cat sitting, married, single, gay, straight, all kinds, because they've discovered that with a dog, you've got to get home to walk the dog or what have you. And if they work long hours or if they want to party after work or whatever, you can have a cat and do that. They're starting to discover that, wow, cats are a lot more friendly, trainable, amenable, a lot more company than they ever thought they would be.
Well, I obviously could do this all day. I could talk to us too all day. We need to have you back on the show so we can dig into more stuff cat related. But before we go any further, I want you to tell us how our listeners and viewers can get in touch with you if they want a virtual consultation, how they can join your clubhouse. Tell me everything.
Things I have learned just from being at Rita's side for 4 years. And now I'm going to be taking a class to get certified.
She's becoming certified.
Yeah. She is. Congratulations.
Because I'm so fascinated because she taught me so much. And I have likened it to having an autistic nonverbal child and needing to reach them and the things that parents will do. You can reach your cat. And you can find out, Rita's the one who taught me that the slow blinky eyes from a cat means they love you. The first time I realized my cat just said, I love you. Do you know how huge that is?
It's the most wonderful thing. It is. It's so sweet to be on the receiving end of that.
And that's what I told her. It's like, you have this ability to give people a relationship with their cats. So if you go to www.ritareimers.com, there's lots of information. There's an online clubhouse. You can post on the boards, be there with other people, and you have unlimited access to Rita. You can send emails in and say, my cats, what do you think about this? What do you think about that?
It's just $9.95 a month.
Yeah. For $9.95 a month. Yeah. It's worth its weight in gold. And then there's a part on there where you can contact us if you need a behavior session. So people will contact us and say, my cats aren't getting along. My cat's pooping outside the litter box, whatever. So we'll do a Zoom. They usually run about an hour, but we've run over. We don't stop anybody,
it's as long as it takes.
Yes. And you've got both of us because, I'll write thoughts down. And then when Rita stops, I'll say, what about oh yeah, blah, blah, and so we kind of, you get two for the price of one. And then she videos it and sends the video. How many times have you left your doctor's office and gone, I didn't tell him that. What did she say about that? What was that?
I don't just video. I also write up, things that we talked about.
Especially if you're communicating that to your spouse or your children.
We've had a lot of couples come on together.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
We love that.
And it should be a family effort. I'm sure you encourage that.
It is.
Without a doubt. It takes, it takes a village.
We don't make a lot of money off that. I dropped my rates considerably because it's the pandemic. People don't have a lot of money. Of course, I need to charge something because, we need to make a little something. It's $125, but one of my famous colleagues charges $1,250. $1,250. I'm $125.
$125 for a consultation one-on-one is so affordable.
And we don't just drop them either. We stay with them and help them.
Right.
Yes. We check. If they don't check in, we check in and we tell them, if you're having some concerns, send us a video of what you're seeing. We're with you until the end.
How many years have you been doing this, Rita?
I want to say about, let's see, around the time I started Just for Cats pet sitting, so about 18 years.
Okay, so there's a value in 18 years. Like it's not just living now;
value.
It's all the education that you.
It will probably go up a little
over the years.
After everybody's back to work. We'll probably go back up a little bit, but right now I just want people to get the help they need. We've had a glut of people calling about integrating their cats because there's been a lot of adoptions during the pandemic puppies, pandemic kitties,
Yeah.
So a lot of people, they've been living with their cats in separate parts of the house for 6-8 months. Yeah.
Don't do that.
Don't
do that. Call Rita.
Rita and I working with Richard was such a huge value. And we were kind of modeling over because he was reachable. The reason Richard was so successful is because he was really reachable. If you went into Slimmons, you could take Richard's class every week, as long as he wasn't traveling. You could write him, he would write you back. He was accessible. And that's what our goal is, because so many cats get rehomed for the dumbest reason. Well, I don't mean that. It's real to the person.
For reasons that we can solve, problems that are solvable if you know what to do. Yes. But if they don't know what to do and they feel hopeless.
Yes.
Here's the thing too, that 125, we split it. So neither one of us is making a lot of money on this.
Yeah. No, you don't need to, you need to raise those prices, but it doesn't matter what the price is. You guys bring so much to the table. Do you have a Facebook group also?
Yes, it's called Cataholics. Some people think it's Catholics. I've got a few people.
This person right here, because I'm Catholic and I'm in a Catholic moms groups, Catholic homeschool moms groups that fellow Catholics have added me to.
That's awesome.
Sometimes I'll see it and I'll be like, oh, and I'm like, oh, it's the Catholic.
I know. One of my friends came to me. He said, I'm agnostic, but I'll join your group because I'm open-minded. I said, no, it's Cataholic, not Catholic.
It's happened to me.
Yeah.
It's definitely happened to me. And that's open to anybody who wants to learn more and share things. So I will put all of the links in the show synopsis for Pet Life Radio and on YouTube as well. Yep. I just want to propose a toast to both of you for being on the show today.
Thank you so much for letting us talk incessantly about cats, because we love them.
My gosh. We're just getting started. We're gonna have a recurring show here so we can catch up.
I love it. I love it. You called me Ab Fab, and Meow Bialik called me a rad cat mom. So I love all this.
Oh my gosh!
We had her on the show.
You've had some amazing interviews.
We've been blessed.
We've
been blessed. We're out for some people that if we get them on the show, we're gonna have a lot of fun with. So.
That is so cool. So I'm also going to put the link to your podcast.
Oh, please do.
In all of the descriptions so people can subscribe. I also want to propose a toast to all of our executive producer, Mark Winter, for making this and your show possible. Cheers to you, Mark.
Cheers, Mark.
Mark is awesome.
That man has the patience of Job.
Oh my gosh.
He does.
So I've said that to my husband so many times. I'm like, I think Mark hates me, but he's so kind anyway, because I'm always emailing him with issues.
Nothing rattles him. He's always very calm and even.
Bless that
gracious.
man.
Love him.
Bless that man.
Mark, here's to you.
To you, Mark.
Also to your audience and my audience for spending some time with us and sharing their love of cat and dog and rabbit and whatever it is we're talking about.
Rabbit and bird and horses and anything with a heartbeat, really. We love them
animals.
all.
Oh my, yes.
Oh my, cheers. To learn more about Covered in Pet Hair, please visit coveredinpethair.com or petliferadio.com. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Let's Talk Pets, every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.